Always, Andrew Bopros here. I wanted to talk about the undrafted free agents that I think actually have an opportunity to make the squad moving forward. Maybe not 53-man roster, but at least potentially making the team special teamers or potentially, practice squad. So, as always, let's get into it. Okay, Andrew Bopros, as always, like and subscribe if you do enjoy the content. And let's get into talking a little bit about our undrafted free agents, right? I think this is a really cool conversation point. I know I love talking about undrafted free agents, what we are, what we aren't. So we drafted 18 folks. So we had 2 wide receivers. I think it's a crowded room. 3 cornerbacks. Need some depth. So, there's some opportunities there. 2 safeties. I do think we need some depth there as well, too. JT Woods hasn't progressed as much as we want. 2 edges. I think we need some depth there as well, too. So they might have an opportunity. 2 linebackers. I think it's kind of a crowded room, but also it's kind of a diminished role with this defense, right? I just don't know really if it really matters a whole lot. 2 offensive linemen. It's a very crowded room. I don't think there's really anything that we can really do there specifically. I have a hard time seeing these offensive linemen make it, especially what schools they went to. Who knows? I think both of them went to the Shrine Bowl, so we'll see what happens either way. 2 defensive linemen. I definitely think they need some depth as well because we had so many injuries last season. 2 running backs. I think it's a bit of a crowded room, but the problem is, again, we don't know what we see with Isaiah Spiller, Josh Kelly, who knows, right? And we do have 1 tight end that we also picked up as well as an undrafted free agent. So I'm setting the tone as to why I think some of these players actually may or may not make the squad moving forward. One of the things that I will say, Austin Eckler did just have a media day yesterday. He talked quite a bit about how he made the team for the Chargers. He set a goal for himself. He said, hey, what do I need to do to make this squad? Do I need to prove myself on special teams? And that's exactly what he did. He worked every day very hard and worked his butt off to actually make the squad. And he created a plan. He made the team through special teams. So you're going to see a theme moving forward with me on who I think is actually going to make this team, most likely through special teams. One guy, my 5th selection, I would say, doesn't really need to do much with special teams, but I think the other 4 probably do, and we'll go from there. So my first person I want to talk about is AJ Finley from Ole Miss. I really like AJ Finley. You guys know that I did a bunch of shorts on all our undrafted free agents, right? AJ Finley, everything I learned about him was really, really good stuff, right? Played well in 2022. At Ole Miss, I think he was a 3-year starter at Ole Miss. Gilman is set to be the guy right now with Derwin James. Not really convinced he's the right guy. He's good, not great. And then JT Woods, quite frankly, hasn't been physical enough and hasn't done a whole lot really to prove that he's really a good guy for him. So, like I said, as far as safety is concerned, AJ Finley could be the guy. He could be a guy that could, maybe get a spot in special teams moving forward. One of the things that I will also say, too, Jasir Taylor right now is set to be our slot corner, right? He's very good at special teams. So what I think it might happen most likely is someone like AJ Finley could step up and be that guy on special teams and then eventually work himself into his safety position moving forward, get some snaps, injuries, so on and so forth. But I do think Finley is a solid addition to the group because of his range, his instincts, his ball skills. He had 8 interceptions at Ole Miss. SEC, they don't mess around. They're very good football players over there, but his ball covering skills are superb, right? He's also good as a run defender. One of the things I would say, too, is Asante Samuel Jr. is not great at run defending. He's not that physical, but AJ Finley has done a really good job. And also, I really do believe, Gilman is okay at run defending, but not great. So, again, I could see him getting a spot for depth. I think Lowe still is probably the guy, at least as it stands now. Of course, we go out and pick up a John Johnson. The conversation completely changes at that point. But it's one of those things to think about, and again, we've lacked back end run defense. Nas was not good last season at all. I mean, he was actually pretty bad in my opinion as far as run defending. Probably a big reason why he's no longer here moving forward. Another guy that I think could also be a guy because of Lowe, Jasir Taylor taking over a larger spot potentially in the defense is Cameron Brown from Ohio State. Much like the safety position, Cornerback requires depth. Again, safety and cornerbacks are extremely important in this defense with underneath Brandon Staley. J.C. Jackson is most likely going to come back. We think he will be, but his status is a little bit unknown at the moment, and he's recovering from a ruptured patella tendon, which we know takes a long time. I do think he'll be back, but Asante James Jr., as we talked about, ASJ, great in coverage, but a liability against the run. So this Cam Brown and AJ Finley could be bigger bodies we could bring in for just run specific plays, an opportunity to potentially, be a little more aggressive on the line, right? And I think that's a big reason, what they need to do. And again, you got to remember, Dean Leonard and Jasir Taylor were very good at special teams, right? So if Cam Brown and AJ Finley could do well in special teams, earn a spot in special teams, or add value to special teams somehow, they could slowly build their way into this roster moving forward. But biggest knock against Cam Brown, and by the way, he was a 4-star recruit out of high school, has plenty of talent. He battled through a ton of injuries at Ohio State. He was on the field, he did great. But again, he had a hard time staying on the field. But has great talent, knows what he's doing, great, eye for the ball, had some decent amounts of interceptions. Great size, great strength. They're both around 6 foot tall, about 220 pounds or 210 pounds, I should say. And they can thrive in man or zone coverage. And he's very good at run support. So again, I really do think that Cam Brown is a guy that if he can do well in special teams and show what he can do moving forward, he'll do very good. Now, the other conversation that I wanted to bring up is we lost Troy Reeder. Now, Troy Reeder's a linebacker, and everyone says, well, Troy Reeder wasn't that great as a linebacker. Well, no, he wasn't really there for being a linebacker. He was there really for being more of a depth player for special teams. He was very, very good at special teams. And you got to remember, we had some of the best pass coverage in the league last season in special teams. So I'm going to bring up two guys in our undrafted free agent room that I think could potentially step into that role. Largely because I think they're freak athletes. They've proven that they have talent, but probably aren't ready to start in day one of any way, shape, or form. They definitely need some more coaching, some more mentoring to really, get there, right? So one of the guys that I want to talk about is Breville Allen from Campbell, right? Campbell's, right? Hilarious name. He went to the Shrine Bowl, where the Chargers had a large presence of recruits. And so I think he really turned a bunch of heads there, at the Shrine Bowl. Also, Jordan McFadden went there. We drafted him, obviously, offensive line. Another reason why I do think offensive lineman, this undrafted free agent class probably doesn't have a shot. Jordan McFadden looks very good, and we have a lot of depth. Scott Matlock also went to the Shrine Bowl, did very well at the Shrine Bowl. But again, Breville Allen, he had his best season in 2021. He had 11 sacks, 26 hurries, and again, very low division, right? I think it's Division 1 maybe. I mean, I'm not even sure where Campbell is specifically, right? But the reason why the Chargers grabbed him, and I promise you this is exactly why. He actually did very well in the Shrine Bowl, but secondarily, he's a member of Bruce Feldman's freak list thanks to his combination of speed and strength. The guy's a bit of a freak athlete, right? And he likes to say he's an athlete more than a player, right? Now, let me just be very clear about something. The person that likes to say that on our team is Gerald Everett, right? Our tight end. He says, I'm an athlete. I'm not really a tight end. There's something to be said about that, right? So this guy has a lot of speed, a lot of strength. It will be interesting to see if he can perform in special teams and then carve out a role for him on this team. I think it could happen. I mean, this guy, is very big, very strong, and he'll have much better coaching around him. He could do a whole lot. Like, his pass rushing is still developing. A lot of people just are calling him an untouched ball of clay, which I think is kind of a funny, example of who he is. But it just goes to show you that the guy can do some things very well. He has all the traits. We just need to give him the talent so he can actually go out and succeed into a specific role in the NFL, right? And it's a big part of what the coaching staff does, right? The coaching staff is a lot better here. Now, another guy that I also say, since Troy Reeder's gone, and I talked about this on our live on Saturday, Andrew Farmer from Lane College, right? I think Andrew Farmer is another guy that actually I think can step in. Now, you got to remember, okay, Breville Allen and Andrew Farmer, both edge rushers, okay? Y'all know the injury situation with Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack. We have Thule. Thule's 20 years old. We don't know what's going to happen. Rump Shaker, who knows? I don't know that he's really the right guy moving forward, but Andrew Farmer at least has all the talent. Very similar to Breville Allen, a lot of speed, a lot of talent. I think they're both right around the same size, like 6'3", 6'4", 250, 260. They're quick. Farmer is an athletic freak, ran a blazing 4.72 in the 40-yard dash. Now, again, you say, well, that's not too quick. Well, he's an edge rusher. Edge rushers aren't wide receivers or speed people, right? Those are, 4.3s. Well, it's 4.3 is extremely fast, but 4.5s. But a 4.72 for an edge rusher his size is pretty damn quick. So that's why I like these two guys as potentially folks that could find spots on special teams and then move their way up moving forward. So that could happen. Farmer at Lane College recorded roughly 18 sacks in his final 2 campaigns as I believe they were called the Dragons, at Lane College. But he can also, a lot of people like him for his run stopping. He sets the edge very well. And he had 25 tackles for losses last season, which is pretty amazing, right? Again, you can argue, well, the talent there, yada, yada. Okay, you're right, but again, ball of clay, freak athlete, that goes a long way, folks, right? It's something that you can do. You get the good, proper coaching staff around them, and you can start seeing some really good things happen. So my final guy that I think actually could make a lot of sense, and really is not going to require any special team play. In fact, I would say he probably won't require any special team play in any way, shape, or form, is our boy Gerard Clark, right? Now, I tell you, the man is all butt and gut, right? Again, a lot of people had him at 5th, 6th, 7th round, right? They thought he was going to be drafted. I know he's a little frustrated, but at the end of the day, it is one of those situations where, bottom line, I think he showed up at camp or the combine a little heavier than expected, right? I think a lot of people said, he's 6'3", 334 pounds. He probably weighed in more like 350, right? He came in pretty heavy. So the argument is, well, man, can this guy, keep weight off, right? I mean, is he really that guy, right? And so, okay. But again, what does he do well? He's a nose tackle, right? Austin Johnson got hurt. Tito Obonia got hurt. Damn near everyone on our defensive line got hurt last season, right? And again, Austin's still not back. Tito's still not back, right? So why did he take snaps with the first round in OTAs? Well, it's largely because there wasn't a lot of options, right? He was pretty much the guy that had to be in there. So he's getting a lot of good looks, right? And that goes a long way, folks, right? The fact that he's out there having the ability to get as many snaps as possible is very important, understanding the defense. Now, again, camp is starting today. This is mini camp. It's mandatory. We are installing the offense and defense. Now, the offense probably will not be fully installed at this point. They're probably looking at, okay, we're going to be running a lot of 11 personnel, a lot of 12 personnel, giving people an idea of what they're doing. They'll have variations of formations beyond that. But this is really when the offense and defenses are starting to really start coming together specifically. But again, Clark being pegged as a later round pick in the draft and fell all the way to undrafted was a good pickup for the Chargers. Probably the best pickup, I would say, because he fills a need that we have. He's very good at stopping the run, being that, big body that he is. He is explosive. He's quick and has a lot more speed and size and generates impressive power to get into the backfield. So again, I would say a day 1 starter, but for a depth piece, I think he definitely could be, that guy. He'd be a nice run booster, run defense, come in for very specific plays, maybe jumbo sets, yada, yada. You could see a lot of benefit there as him coming through. So, hey, we'll see how it plays out, right? A few honorable mentions, and then I'll wrap up the video. You guys noticed Pokey Wilson was actually the thumbnail here. I think Pokey Wilson would be 6th on my list on this. I think that he actually could be somebody that probably could make the squad. Very explosive, very tall. I think he's 6 foot, 185, explosive. He's a very good downfield threat guy. I think he could, if he does well in special teams, maybe he becomes a gunner. Maybe he's one of the guys that takes over Jasir Taylor's position, so on and so forth. Who knows? I think he would probably be my 6th choice on this list. Another guy is Terrell Bynum. He's a bit of a journeyman. He went to Washington, went to USC. Again, taller guy. I think he's like 6'1", maybe 200 pounds. But again, Chargers like tall, big, wide-bodied wide receivers. So we'll see what happens with Terrell Bynum as well too. I think Pokey's probably over Terrell, but we'll see how that plays out moving forward. Another guy, I want to wrap up, and then I might add a caveat to a couple of the running backs. Michael Ezike from UCLA. I think he's pretty raw. but I think he could be a decent blocker. He's a very big body as well, too. So, you never really know how that plays out, right? Depends on how many tight ends they want to go with. It is a pretty crowded room moving forward, but I think there could be some synergies there. And then you got Elijah Dawson from Northern Colorado, and then Tyler Hoosman from North Dakota. Look, I just don't know that these guys really have a spot, largely because I think the running back room is fairly crowded, right? You got, Josh Kelly, Austin Eckler's back. But they need to show something, right? I think they'll probably get a good look at them, right? They could do something in special teams, much like, our boy Austin Eckler did. Some good things could potentially happen moving forward with these guys. But again, they need to prove themselves through special teams. And we'll see how it plays out moving forward. So again, guys, I don't want this video to be too long, but this is just my general thoughts. What do you guys think? Does this make sense? Agree, disagree with me? Is there some people on the list that I left off that you like on our undrafted free agent list? And tell me why. Let's have a discussion as to why, you like them over some of the people that I chose. As always, guys, like and subscribe if you do enjoy the content. Andrew Bullpros. See you guys in the next one.